last seen wearing charcoal long sleeve shirt with white flowers, blue jeans pants with flowers on the pockets. Wise County audience responding to the missing child. She's been missing for approximately 20 minutes before mom called 911. She is missing from the house on the back of the property. They do have 2 ponds on the property as well.
So that police audio dispatch in the search for 7-year-old Athena Strand out of Paradise, Texas was pretty hard to hear. But that's the best I could hear, and I believe on Wednesday, November 30th, they were getting help. Help was being summoned for the little lost girl who stepped off of her school bus around 4:15 p.m. on Wednesday, November 30th, and by 6:40 p.m. cops were being called to the scene en route to County Road 3573 for a missing child off of 2123. At that point, the information was that she was a 7-year-old, blonde hair, blue eyes. Last seen, they thought she was wearing a charcoal long shirt with black flowers, blue jean pants with flowers on the pockets. Today's presser just happened. Right now, it is Friday, December 2nd at 4:25 p.m. as I record this, and we learned a little bit more from Wise County authorities about the circumstances surrounding Athena's disappearance.
Sense of media, because this is a pretty big deal for us at the Wise County Sheriff's Office, and I know that some of y'all have heard a lot of the information that was put out yesterday, which is still accurate. I'm going to go back through some of it because some of you may have not heard that. This is Craig Johnson. He's our Chief Deputy. He's going to help me because I know that y'all will have some questions, and when you do have the questions, we'll be prepared to answer those things as much as we possibly can, understanding that it's an ongoing investigation. So on Wednesday, the 30th of November, at about 4:15, a 7-year-old Athena Strand stepped off her school bus, arriving home like she does almost every day at County Road 3573 in Paradise. At about 6:40 p.m. that same day, Wise County Sheriff's Office dispatch received a 911 call from Athena's stepmom reporting that Athena was missing. Within about 14 minutes, we had deputies, EMS, volunteer fire departments there, and there was a search that commenced just right away. And that search, for the most part, was that area of the house, inside the house, under the house, and then the immediate area in that 6-acre tract where they live. But they weren't able to locate the child. So later on in the night, we had THP who came to help.
Now, in that dispatch, there are plenty conflicting stories surrounding this missing little girl. It's no wonder that the massive search for her is now transitioning more into an investigation. You could hear them say that the little girl, Athena, is missing from the house on the back of the property. You also hear the dispatchers say they have 2 ponds as well. And it's kind of hard to hear whatever else they're talking about.
What's the child's name? The child's name is Athena Strand.
And will you call the fire marshal and just ask him if he or Cody Powell have thermal on their drones? 790 is that trooper. I'm pulling on scene now. The drones are en route.
Something about searching the house thoroughly from room to room. They ask for the child's name again, and she reiterates Athena Strand. They also ask about the fire marshal and drones and thermal imaging. Indeed, cops have been using that thermal imaging quite a bit. However, one thing I noticed that was a discrepancy is that the dispatch reiterates the call from Athena's stepmom that came in saying she's been missing for about 20 minutes before her mom called 911. Now, we've heard different times of when Athena allegedly went missing, it could just be the mistake and misunderstanding of journalists trying to pass along the story. But allegedly, the massive search for 7-year-old Athena Presley Monroe Strand, 7, who left her house allegedly after an argument with her stepmom and just walked away, not wearing enough clothes, allegedly also wearing boots, but not a jacket, only a t-shirt and boots. And with it being 28 degrees that first night, we've heard discrepancies. People have been using stepmom and mom interchangeably, but it was Athena alone in the house with her stepmom as her biological father was headed off further south, down past Fort Worth, about a 47-minute drive or so away, when he had to turn around after he got a call from the stepmom that Athena was allegedly missing. Differing reports say that Athena's stepmom was searching for her for 1 hour, about 1 hour or so. However, the dispatch is saying the stepmom searched about 20 minutes for Athena before calling. These little discrepancies matter. There was an argument between Athena and her stepmom. Nothing unusual, the sheriff calls it, but we don't know what they were arguing about. The stepmom reportedly went off to make dinner, and Athena allegedly walked away from the home. As you can tell from some of the video and photos of the area, it is really dense and rural, and it's pretty scary to think of a 7-year-old out there not dressed adequately. But it sounds like the sheriff said it's something that Athena has done before, as you'll hear in snippets from the press conference today. But this time, I guess her stepmom expected Athena to just walk away a little bit and come back, but she has not returned as of this filming. Initially, the sheriff thought it was about 5:41 when the sheriff's office got a call, but that appears to be corrected to 6:40 p.m. or so. This is Central Time in Texas. They're asking volunteers to stand down right now. Of course, people came out in droves, en masse, about 300 people searching, trying to help find stuff. According to what the sheriff remembers offhand, there have been no prior calls to the home. Although on Facebook, one woman is discussing the conditions of the home, and it sounds horrible. Deputies are doing their due diligence to find this first grader who was set to go back to her mom in Oklahoma this month. December, this weekend, she was supposed to hang out with her aunt. Athena's biological mom apparently was suffering some type of sickness or had to be in the hospital. From what I understand, she has full custody, but maybe it was due to this illness that Athena was with her biological dad and her stepmom. But according to Athena's biological mom and her aunt, Athena is afraid of the dark, and she wouldn't just go wandering off. But deputies have searched all over, under, and around the house. They've used helicopters. They've used the thermal imaging. They've only found wildlife. It was Wise County Sheriff Lane Aiken who spoke about the conditions prior to Athena going missing, the argument with her stepmom.
We know that there was a little bit of an argument between her and her stepmom last night, but it wasn't anything unusual, stepmom and child. And so there was that argument. Then stepmom went to fix dinner, came back to get Athena, and Athena wasn't in her room. That was at about 4:45 yesterday. Then mom went looking for Athena, and she couldn't find her, so she called the sheriff's office at about, I think it was 5:41 when she called the sheriff's office. And then that's when we started with all the searches that happened last night.
We definitely don't believe Athena ran off. We're not sure if she's been abducted or not. We just want everyone to keep an eye out and bring her home to us.
You said, I mean, just based off of what you said, you're basically telling the community that something doesn't seem right here.
No, stories aren't adding up.
Was she really missing only 20 minutes? Was Athena's stepmom only looking really 20 minutes before she called 911, or was it an hour? Scarily, this is reminding me of the Summer Wells case with certain discrepancies when I actually seek out the police dispatch audio compared to what's being reported. But authorities believe this little girl is in danger. Police are saying the stepmom spent about an hour looking for Athena. I don't know if they pulled that out of the air Why did the dispatch call say she's been looking for her for about 20 minutes, if that's indeed what the audio says? Anyone who knows anything should call the Wise County Sheriff's Office. Call 940-627-5971. Right now, Sheriff Aiken says they're looking at all possibilities. They're not ruling out foul play. He's a hopeful person. He has about 50 years worth of law enforcement experience. We don't exactly know how far away Athena's dad was on his way to south of Fort Worth to go hunting, and we don't know when he had to double back and make it back home. There's so many different stories that are coming out, and it's confusing. We don't know if it's the fault of the media or if it's what's being relayed to the media. We have Univision Dallas Fort Worth claiming the parents left the house after the discussion, the argument, and when the mother returned, she checked the minor's room and did not find her while the father was outside, which is a lot different than what we're hearing now, that the stepmom and Athena argued. The stepmom went to make dinner, presumably in the kitchen right there at the house, and Athena walked off. And we're assuming someone, the stepmom, witnessed Athena walked off, because how else would she know she was wearing boots and jeans? There's so many questions. So there's a lot of miscommunication, but Athena was supposed to go to Oklahoma this very weekend and attend an event with her aunt. So Athena's mother allegedly has full custody, but because of her health issues, she sent Athena to stay with her father and stepmom. Athena was so close to coming back home to her mom and aunt, but her mom has been pretty vocal on Facebook. Even if I haven't seen any interviews yet with the bio dad and stepmom, maybe I missed them, but on Facebook, on Wednesday, November 30th at 11:33 p.m., Maitland Presley Gandy posted the following message. My daughter Athena Presley Monroe Strand is missing and was last seen at her father's house in Paradise, Texas at approximately 5:30 November 30th. She's been missing for 5 hours at this time. If you know anyone in the Paradise, Wise County, Texas area, please share this post with them. And she even listed her phone number. I can't imagine her worry being so far away in terms of just trying to be near your daughter, having your own health issues and needing to have other people watch your daughter, and all of a sudden your 7-year-old goes missing. According to her mom, Athena is described as blue eyes, light, dirty blonde, shoulder-length hair, wavy to curly, 62 pounds, approximately 48 inches tall, so she's about 4 feet tall. White, olive-toned skin, has a pink scar on her left jawline. Thursday, December 1st, Maitland was also posting again an update. December 1st, 2022. Athena is still missing as of 7:45 a.m. And indeed, we know that police were searching all night. If you watch these snippets coming up from the presser, they called it a day around 4:30-ish a.m. and they were right back within 3 hours, less than 3 hours, at 7 in the 7 o'clock hour, searching again. But Maitland wrote Thursday morning, Athena is still missing as of 7:45 a.m. The Sheriff's Department has welcomed all volunteers to search. She gave Athena's dad's address, 268 County Road 3573, Paradise, Texas. It sounds like to me in the audio you can hear something about Continental. I don't know if that's a road near there. Again, she reiterated that Athena was last seen at approximately 5:30 p.m. on November 30th. Once again, Maitland wrote on Thursday, December 1st at 8:12 p.m. Athena is still missing and we are now over the 24-hour point. Thank you to my wonderful family and the large support from the Wise County community. We are continuing our search. We ask that everyone pray. Pray some more, continue to pray, and never stop praying. I cannot live without my baby, and I need her brought home safely to me. Athena didn't walk away or disappear on her own. I will not give up or stop until I have Athena back. What a heart's cry from a mother. She said, I feel like there is a hole in my heart and half of my soul is missing. An Amber Alert was issued earlier today. Please do not give up on my baby. Thank you to everyone for the supporting messages and calls. If anyone sees Athena or finds Athena, please call 911. Indeed, the sheriff did speak about immediately getting the information for an Amber Alert over to DPS, but they had to wait and sit on it a little bit to make sure certain conditions were met. So once it hit that 24-hour mark or so, the alert went out. On Friday, December 2nd, 2022 at 10:53 a.m., Jade Mackey wrote on Facebook that Maitland Presley Gandy surrendered her phone to the FBI this morning because of the influx of tips and information, which she would like everyone to know is greatly appreciated, and asks to please continue to keep an eye out for Athena. Maitland, Athena's father, and stepmother are complying fully with all agencies involved in finding Athena, as well as both sides of Athena's family. The only priority is to find Athena. The search right now has been limited to the agencies involved, which are Texas Search and Rescue, Wise County PD, Paradise Wise County Fire Department, the FBI, and their many departments, CPS, etc. She noted that the original Angel Link donation account was reported as fraud, even though it was not. So there is now a GoFundMe account to raise money for Athena and award money for the safe return of Athena to her mother. The account is in Maitland's name and will be controlled by her. So indeed, there is a GoFundMe. It's titled Athena's Safe Return. As of this reporting, it has raised $890 out of a $10,000 goal. What's really worrying is one report on Facebook. A woman named Brittany wrote, "We just left the house Athena was last seen at. No update. The house she went missing from is a wreck. The windows are busted out of the house. I guess the little girl sleeps in a building in the backyard." That sounds like what we heard for sure on the dispatch audio. It says she is missing from the house on the back of the property. So does she sleep there? What kind of house? Is it a shed? I have to look for photos and see more of this layout. But that's also troublesome. Just seeing a 7-year-old, sleeping apart from the main house, the arguing, the fact that it's like, oh, she walked away, she's done this before. I mean, she's only 7, not 17. The dad was charging his phone in the SUV, like maybe they don't have power to the house. They talk about a family dog being shot dead in the backyard field. I don't know if there's a dog still there or when this happened. There's a trash pile full of dirty diapers. There's animal bones around the yard. The dad and stepmom were both sent to the police department in their own vehicles. The mom is a very sweet girl who I talked to many times today. She has been ill and was in the hospital. She had let Athena go to her dad's for a few months until they got the mom's health issues fixed. Athena was supposed to move back home in December. Magically, she disappeared on November 30th. I pray to God they find her alive, but I am not getting a good feeling. I was there all day and searched all over the property and the surrounding places. This is the pictures of the place. You can make your own opinion. It's just sad. It's pretty sad. So again, her mom is saying Athena was afraid of the dark and wouldn't run off. So we pray for Athena to be found. Miracle of miracles. Reporter Meredith Yeomans spoke with the aunt of missing 7-year-old Athena Strand, and she said her niece is afraid of the dark and wouldn't run away. Let's just keep her in deep prayer before we watch the rest of this press conference. Let's close with Revelation 22:21. The grace of the Lord Jesus, the Christ, the Messiah, be with all the saints, all believers, those set apart for God. Amen. Thank you.
We had THB who came to help, the EMC, Emergency Management Coordinator, as well as the Fire Marshal, and multiple local PDs joined in and helped us in the investigation and the search. And in the nighttime, we had DPS 101 helicopter, DPS 101 and Fort Worth PD's Air One that were there. And they had thermal imaging helping to locate heat signatures on the ground. But they didn't find anything other than wildlife, rabbits, hogs, and some deer. No indication that there was any human activity out and about. Local law enforcement, as well as Rescue 1, Search and Rescue 1, had their canine teams, and those canine teams worked throughout the night in the darkness until the early morning hours trying to pick up a trail. They picked up a short trail that just kind of circled around the house and then headed back over toward 2123. 2 different dog teams ran that track out, but still, we didn't find Athena. So at about 4:30 that morning, we gathered up and decided, okay, we're going to shut it down and be back at first light just yesterday morning. So yesterday morning, we were all on scene at 7 a.m. as the sun was coming up, and we started the search with mostly law enforcement, Highway Patrol, Sheriff's Office, Texas Rangers, DPS, CID. And that search didn't prove to be effective as well. We ended up with about 200 volunteers from the citizens around here in Wise County. Came forward and wanted to do something to help. So with the help of our EMC, we were able to coordinate and get those folks on tracks and on search patterns so that we could cover that six acres and cover it well. We had so many volunteers, and they were I guess mostly helped by law enforcement along the way. They were walking shoulder to shoulder through the brush, but still it was no luck. From the very beginning, this was just 2 nights ago. It was a search accompanied by an investigation. A search accompanied by an investigation. But we are now transitioning to an investigation accompanied by a search. The investigation itself is the responsibility of Wise County Sheriff's Office. We are being assisted, and thankfully so, we're being assisted by the Texas Rangers, DPS, CID. We're being assisted by local PDs, the U.S. Marshals, and the FBI. The FBI is helping us with digital resources and investigative support. And so we're asking the citizens, if we could, we're asking the citizens that if they see anything, if they know anything, that they would either call the Sheriff's Office, 940-627-5971, and report that, or the FBI office, 972-559-5000, in hopes that we can get some more information that will get us to the point that we could find Athena. It's heavy on our minds. Many of us have gone without sleep. So we're asking for the public's help and the media's help. And we also would ask that if you would put the information out to the citizens who live in that area, and we've talked to the Wise County Messenger already about this, that when they get home in that area, please go out and look at the outbuildings, look inside the outbuildings in your barns, look through the brush, and just search your acreage that you have so that we can have that peace of mind that she's not in another place that we have not looked. The search is continuing. It's more of a spotted search now instead of the kind of grand search that you saw yesterday with all of those citizens. So with that, we would be glad to take questions.
Mr. Sheriff, has the family been previously known to the Wise County Sheriff's Office? Have they had previous calls to this house?
To my recollection, we've had no calls to that house, Andrew, so no. Any other questions?
Why is it transitioning to investigation and not search?
Well, it's been search and investigation. Now it's more so investigation and search because we've completed most of that search. It's covered that area that we need to cover, so we're still going to do some spot searching as information comes in. And as normally the case, the investigation then becomes the forefront because we've got a lot of people to interview. We've got the digital information that we need to be going through, so that takes up the investigative time. So we're spending more time now on the investigation than we were with search.
Do you have reason to believe that foul play is involved? An Amber Alert was issued at some point.
Yes.
When you didn't do that initially.
No, we actually did. We sent it out to DPS right away. And I think DPS must have some parameters on that so that they wait until there's some reason for cause or concern. And obviously there's reason for concern when the child has not been recovered in about 24 hours. So they put that out, and it doesn't necessarily mean we expect foul play, but we do understand that could be a possibility.
Can I add to that, Sheriff?
Yes, you can.
Will you step up by these microphones? So
You bet.
And please identify yourself as well for all of us.
Thank you so much.
I'm Craig Johnson. I'm the Chief Deputy, Wise County Sheriff's Office. To add to what the Sheriff was saying into your question, the transition is in part due to the over 300 now people, men and women in different groups that volunteered, because we were able to cover a vast amount of area, talk to tons of people more quickly than we would have without them. So we were able to go through a lot of different areas and aspects of a search type incident looking for Athena very quickly, check and recheck. And so now the mechanics of the situation, the investigation dictate that we keep moving into this next area. But largely it's due to the good work to the women and men who volunteered their time and came out and really looked hard.
Can you please explain what the next steps are? You mean that there's no searching, now it's investigating? Can you explain what's next and how it's going to be?
Well, it's not just an investigation. As the Sheriff said, it's transitioning to an investigation with a search. Leads still are being followed up on as they come in, from leads that are developed via law enforcement or leads that are phoned in from different citizens or groups. But if we've checked and double checked and triple checked all of the things out in a typical grid search area, like what you largely saw yesterday, then we have to keep looking, we have to keep digging and following up on every lead. And it wouldn't be necessarily productive to have 300 people staged waiting to go search here and here and here and here.
Are you still asking volunteers to stay away from the scene and let law enforcement do it, or are you accepting the help of volunteers now?
We're asking that they stand down at the moment. There are some folks that come and volunteer. That is great. However, we struggle right now, again, thanks to the good work that was done yesterday by the 300 plus people on where to direct them.
Could you speak to the experience that either the office or you as individuals have with missing children, what that experience could play into and how maybe those instances have played out in the past?
Well, our chief deputy is retired from Grapevine PD. I'm a retired Texas Ranger. Been working in law enforcement since 1974. I think he's got about 30 years in law enforcement. I'm coming up on 50 years in law enforcement. We have encountered those investigations on many occasions. We find that if we solicit the support of the citizens as well as the other agencies who bring some expertise that we don't have, we're going to rely on them to make sure that we get everything done so that we can find out what happened to Athena, hopefully find her and bring her home alive and well. But again, I say that it's all about the possibilities, and we've got to look at everything.
Sheriff, can you talk about the conversations with the family? We know there's a couple different dynamics, mom from Oklahoma, stepmother, and biological father here. Can you give us some insight as to how they must be feeling or conversations with them?
Both sides, the mother and the stepmother and the father, they have been very cooperative. The investigation, the interviews have been conducted by our Texas Ranger, our local Texas Ranger, and one of our investigators. And it has gone very well. We've got information that the first information that we had was, and for it may still be accurate information, the information that we had at first was that the mother and daughter had a little bit of an argument, which is not unusual for a 7-year-old and the stepmother. And the stepdaughter got upset, Athena got upset, and she walked away, as she has done in the past, but they expected she would come back. But she did not come back, and we obviously have been unable to find her.
Sheriff, where was the father during all of this?
The father was on his way to a deer hunting trip in South Texas, and she called him and he turned around and came back. He was somewhere south of Fort Worth when he received that call.
Some of the neighbors told me that Athena, was to be going to Oklahoma, back to her natural mother, and that was to have occurred right about now. Is that so?
We have been told that. I'm not sure that it's so. Our investigators are at the front line. They may have a different idea on that, but we have been told that, and we do believe that probably is true, but we're not absolutely.
Perhaps that had something to do with the dynamic of the family that was going on at that time.
It's very possible. That's one of the possibilities. Yes, sir.
So the stepmother was the only adult at home at the time of her disappearance?
That's correct.
If you're in a public place, you hear the loud ringing for the Amber Alert, and almost everybody might just silence their phone and maybe not even take a look. How important is it to just glance at it? Maybe you see a description of a car, maybe you see a description of something that could help.
Well, that's why we're so judicious about putting those things out. People have got to realize that that's an important issue when they hear that coming across their phone. And I've been in a restaurant when everybody gets them at the same time, almost like tornado warnings. And so it's important that they look at that, especially if it's in your geographic area. So many times they're in South Texas, and you get a little bit, I guess it becomes mundane because it's so far away. But in those that are close by, we would hope that everybody would look at it, and if they come up with some information that would be helpful, we in law enforcement would appreciate if they'd give us a call.
The fact that you guys have done such an exhaustive search in the immediate area around the home, and this is a 7-year-old who's presumably just on foot, what does that tell you about where she could be at this point?
Well, we are deeply concerned about that because it's been a long time. That first night it was 28, 29 degrees. And she wasn't dressed real warmly. We originally thought that she was wearing a plaid jacket, but in reality she was in a t-shirt with jeans and boots. So we have a lot of concern. The longer it goes, the more we're concerned. But even so, I'm an optimistic guy. Our chief is an optimistic guy, and we're trying to do everything we can to recover this child.
Do any of the homes in the area have external security cameras that may have picked up a passing vehicle?
We have checked on that, and we don't have any right there in that very area. There are no Ring doorbells along those lines. But even so, we're going to keep canvassing, and we sent out, and our DPS troopers helped us canvass every house, probably within a 5-mile radius. And there were some video opportunities, but those have not proven to be fruitful to this point.
We're live. If anyone's tuning in, can you repeat who and what we're looking for and where? Just to
who we're looking
surmise?
for? Yeah, and I've got some pictures here, some photographs of Athena that some of them we pulled off social media. So we'll pass these out to y'all before we leave. So that's Athena. She's 7 years old. I don't know exactly, Craig, do you know how tall she is?
I do not.
She's first grader, I think, as I was told.
I think I saw that she was 4 feet tall on her mother's social media.
Could be. Okay, thank you, Andrew. Other questions?
Are there particular pieces of evidence that you all might be looking for? We saw officers walking the side of the road some distance away from the home. It looked as though they were looking for something that might have been thrown out of a car or whatever there might be on the side of the road.
Craig, you want to come take that question? Behind the microphone.
To directly answer your question, any item of evidence is what those officers or deputies or troopers or volunteers would have been looking for. Anything that might have suggested that Athena might have been there or something associated with her might have been there. Anything we can find to help narrow down the who, what, when, where, how, and why of the investigation is what we're looking for. It might be a footprint, it might be a shoe, it might be hair, it might be any number of things. But as physical evidence goes, sometimes you just don't know what it is until you find it at times.
You mentioned all the outpouring of community and volunteers. What would you say to people? I know they're still wanting to help out in some way here locally. What would you tell them?
Those who want to help, they can still check in with us at the First Baptist Church in Cottondale. Our EMC is there to put their name on a list, and in the event that we do need some help, we encourage them to come on back so that we can do some more searching. But right now, we ask that those citizens at home, they check their own property, even if they're within 20 miles of that area. Let's just look at the property, see what's in your barn. Some of the people may not have been in their barn in a while. Look in their vehicles. So we ask everybody to do that, especially those who are in the vicinity. Brian, did I answer your question properly? Okay.
Do you have any registered sex offenders in that vicinity?
We do, and we have made contact with all of them, and that's one of the reasons the U.S. Marshals were assisting us early on.
And thus far, that's produced no reason to believe they might be responsible?
Not at this point, no, sir, but still, it's on the table. There's a possibility, but we don't see that as a direct lead right now. Anybody else? Any questions? Thank you all so much. We appreciate y'all being here. And if you would like the photographs here, we would be glad to pass some of these out. In fact, we'll just put them up here. I'll put them over on this side, and you can pick up one if you'd like to.
Deputy, your last name is Johnson, Johnsson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Chief Deputy.
Thank you so much.
And so just for a quick recap, they have not found her. She's still
Thank you for all your help.
missing.
Check on her.
Okay, I know you guys were working on
Do you have a copy of yesterday's flyer?